What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Etheria restart video. In this one, we're going to be covering the 4-star characters that I think everyone should build because they are very important for your progression and for clearing all these bosses that are going to enable you to farm more effectively in the early stages of the game. In the first 3 days of the beta, I heavily invested in my 5-star characters like Messiah, like Freya, like Rosa, like Leon and Doki Doki, and my Hell Kit. And honestly, it kind of came back to bite me in the ass because I kind of got stuck after a certain point. I really couldn't clear Terramaton. I couldn't clear Doki Doki after a certain point. And it wasn't until I started investing and looking into my 4-star characters that I really saw a really big improvement in my clear times, and I was able to reliably farm. Now we're going to show you the 11 characters that you should look into if you are stuck farming any of the modules like Doki Doki, Terramaton, or any of the shell stages that farm any of the red drops, like for example Nico Nana, Sharon, or the Shadow Flame Hoyan. If you're stuck in any of these, look into these 11 characters that we're going to discuss in this video, and I'm sure you're going to find one that will allow you to clear. I have yapped long enough. Let's get right into the video. I'm going to get the very obvious ones out of the way. Marvel is probably the best 4-star character in the game. He is just absolutely insane. This 60% or 50% turn meter setback is absolutely bonkers. Not only that, it gives him a 2-turn speed down and a 2-turn rest reduction. This makes it to where if you make him fast and then you get the 2-turn speed down and a 2-turn rest reduction, it makes it to where whatever you do next, for example, if you do land the freeze, it makes it easier for you to land this actual freeze because the rest reduction makes it easier for you to land the debuffs. So it makes it to where this guy is the perfect opener. As if that wasn't enough, this is on a 4-turn cooldown, which makes it really good because you want him to be fast anyway. And if that wasn't enough, if you increase this to level 5, his basic attack turns into a 50% action steal, which is way better than an action setback because a steal means that you take the action from him. So if you take 50% from the enemy, it means that you also gain that 50% for himself. And it just makes it to where he just gains his turns really fast. And if you actually land it, you're going to notice that he starts rotating his S3 really quickly. So if you end up getting Marvel early on, don't be afraid of investing in this character. He is key in Terramaton. He is key in Doki Doki. He is key in Shadow Flame Hoyan. He is key in pretty much every single farming stage. He is very good in PvP. He is just an absolute monster. People are saying that he needs to get nerfed or that he's gonna get a nerf. I really hope and pray they don't touch this man. He is absolutely bonkers and too much value, a lot of value for a 4-star character. So if you get him, please invest in Marvel. He's absolutely insane. All right, the next character that's pretty obvious as well is going to be Kraken. He is very strong, especially for Doki Doki, because for Doki Doki, you need to be able to land CCs and controls to remove that shield protection and to be able to deal damage. Not only he does that to everyone, he also sets back. He has a turn meter setback as well as with the freeze. He also has a single target freeze or a single target CC that could last 2 turns, which is very good. And he also could land a defense down, which could be helpful to land even more damage. So needless to say, Kraken is a very good character. The only thing is that his cooldown could be very high if you don't invest in his cooldown reduction. So if you do get him, make sure you save a couple of Latices just to level up his S3. You need 4 of them to get this up, so just make sure you have 4 of them saved up, or just like save up 4 of them so you can level up his S3 and you can get his skill to level 5, so that way you have a less hard time rotating his skill. Because if you have to wait 5 turns to get the skill back, you're gonna have a hard time with Doki Doki. But once you get past that hurdle, he is a fantastic character. And not only for Doki Doki, you can use him for Shadow Flame Hoyan. You can use him for pretty much every single content that allows you to freeze the enemy. A lot of the bosses you can't freeze, but you can freeze the little ads on the sides. And a lot of these bosses depend on the ads. I think the only one that you can't use this on is on Terramaton, but everybody else, you can pretty much use it. And it works fantastically well. All right, now for the character that kind of opened up this world of 4-star characters for me is going to be Gary, bro. Gary is such a great character. He is pretty much the first 4-star character you get. I'm pretty sure you get him initially as soon as you start the game. You get Gary for free. He is absolutely cracked out for Doki Doki, and I overlooked him. I pretty much benched him day one. I didn't touch him after the first day because I got Rosa, I got Messiah, I got Freya. So I was like, ah, fuck these 4-stars. I'm gonna put him on the bench. Not worry about Gray. Uh, boy, was I wrong. It wasn't. I was having such a hard time on Doki Doki Hell 3 and Hell 4 until I looked for Gray. Until I went back to my boy 4-star or SR Gray, and I don't know what, like, I don't know why, like, him and Rosa have kind of like a similar kid. The only difference is that Gray has this defense down, and this defense down makes the world of difference. He can put the crate up, the crit rate up the same way Rosa can, but the defense down makes it to where you deal a lot of damage. And then when you couple that with Romolka's splash damage, if you deal a lot of damage to one enemy to the point where you kill him, the excess damage gets dealt as true damage, depending on the investment on your Romolka, of course, to the rest of the enemies. And if that's enough, you can pretty much nuke the entire field. So if everybody has defense down, then you can kind of see how that damage can get out of control. And that is why Gary is so strong, especially for Doki Doki. And he pretty much made it to where I could farm Doki Doki Hell 4 pretty comfortably, to the point where I was dealing too much damage to where my cooldowns couldn't keep up with the damage that I was dealing, and I was actually having to tone it back a little bit. And like it's actually kind of crazy that even in Hell 4 Doki Doki, most teams up until this point are still using, pretty much most of them are still using, a day one free to play free character that you that you get day one as soon as you open the game. And the fact that there's people, because I did it, and if I did it, I can't assume I'm the only one that did it. And if I was the only one that did it, then I guess I'm the idiot. But I can't assume that I'm the only person who just ignored Gary. If I can help one other person on release build Gary from day one and just invest in him, so to make his life a lot easier when farming Doki Doki, then I helped one person, and I'm okay with that. But please don't ignore Gary. He will make your life easier, especially if you have Romolka. You don't really need Romolka here to deal damage. You can pretty much have any DPS working here. Gary is such a great character. Not only does he work here, like, people still use him in Terramaton. I'm pretty sure there's teams here that use Gary. I saw a few. Yeah, right here. Terramaton, Hell 4 using Gary. They're using another character that we're going to talk about next, which is Dina. But Gary's still cooking in Hell 4 in Terramaton. Actually, this team is using two characters that we're going to talk about next. The next character we're going to talk about is actually Dina. This character is actually insane. For single target, or actually for any DPS check, for any character or any boss that you have to nuke, Dina is another character that you're going to watch out for. And the good thing about Dina is that you don't have to really invest too much in her. All you really have to do is just make her fast and then get her some effect accuracy. And that is pretty much it. Where's my Dina? So all you need to do is just give her a little bit of speed, a little bit of effect accuracy. This one's kind of low. I like her at about 100%. But as long as you have that, you don't really need to invest too much into her. You don't really need to invest anything into her skill ups. And especially if you use her with Gary, because Gary lands the defense down, it makes her a lot easier to stack her erosion if you can land an AoE defense down on the enemy, because then she can stack her vulnerability and then her erosion a lot more effectively, which will enable you to do a lot more damage. So a lot of people are using Dina to nuke pretty much every boss, because if you can land a bunch of erosion stacks, you can pretty much nuke the enemy. They're using Dina to stack the erosion to just nuke with Victor, which is another character we're going to talk about a little bit later. But essentially, they're using that to nuke. So any boss that's a big boss that has a big health bar, you're going to be able to nuke, and they're going to use Dina to do so. So they use it for Terramaton. I'm pretty sure they use her for Aurora as well. Yeah, they're using her for Aurora. Wait, this is Nightmare 2, so let me check Hell 4. I'm pretty sure they're used. Yeah, so she's everywhere in Aurora Hell 4, which is the last domain that you can farm. Even if you go over here to Grim Pursuit for Shadow Flame Hoyan, I'm pretty sure she's here for Shadow Flame Hoyan everywhere. Yeah, she's everywhere in Shadow Flame Hoyan, which is the level 45 Grim Pursuit farm, which is the pretty much quote unquote late game shell farm. So Dina is incredibly valuable. And the great thing is that if when the game releases, when the game comes out on the Freya banner, if you go here, well, actually three of the characters we're going to talk about, all three of these characters that are here, all these 3 4-stars are very valuable characters. 2 of them I put on the S tier. Kraken, obviously we already talked about. Dina, also we're just talking about her right now. And then Chiaki the Echo we're going to talk about a little bit later. But she's essentially a budget friendly, like a budget Freya. But she's also very good. Also worth investing if you end up not pulling Freya early on. And also, if you do have Freya and you don't want to invest into a 5-star this early, I would also invest in Chiaki because she kind of does almost the same thing, but with much less investment. Moving on to another 4-star, which I briefly mentioned earlier, and that one's going to be Victor. Like, he's pretty much very similar. He's used very similarly to Dina. If you have to nuke a boss, people usually bring Victor. It's either Victor or this other character called Didding, which I actually built up Didding, but we're going to talk about Victor first. Victor essentially sucks his own HP, gains a shield, and then deals damage. Deals more damage depending on how much HP he has lost, and then also takes less damage depending on how much HP he has lost as well. He also recovers his own HP, and he deals a lot of damage, and he's very hard to kill once he gets going. So people use him to nuke bosses, and he's also a very good boss killer if you are looking for that. If you don't like Victor, or if you don't have Victor and you happen to have Didding, he kind of works similarly in the way that he boss kills, but in a different way. So Didding essentially is kind of like a sniper. So essentially he will take the target with the least amount of health in percentage. So you can kind of tweak that. So if you want to hit the boss, what you want to do is hit the boss a few times before Didding's turn. When Didding's turn comes around, he's going to mark that boss. And then if you hit him with your S3, he's going to then follow up with an S1. So the thing is, the only thing I don't like about Didding is that he does need a little bit of investment, because you want to max out the S2 to get all this extra crit rate, crit damage bonus. You also want to max out this so you can get the 100% follow-up attack. And then you also want to max out the S1 because this is where the most amount of damage you're going to get, at least for level 4. So right now I don't have, I'm missing at about 40 multiplier, which is kind of a decent chunk of damage. But as soon as I get a few more Latices, I'm going to put him into Didding. But thanks to Didding, I was able to clear Termaton Hell 4 pretty comfortably, if I'd say so myself. And this is after trying Messiah maxed out, and after trying Remolka maxed out. I was able to do it with a level 37 Didding almost maxed out. So very strong character. Now we have 3 more characters to cover. One more character is Kazuyo Riviere. She is very good for Doki Doki. The reason why is because she has this AoE CC. She puts them to sleep. She puts everybody to sleep. The only bad thing about Kazuyo, and what makes her a lot worse than Kraken, is that it's 2 separate checks. She first checks to land an attack down, and then if she lands the attack down, then she checks if she lands the slumber. And that's kind of bad, because you have to land pretty much two debuffs to land the CC. The good thing is that she has a CC on her basic. The bad thing about that is that at max, it could only be a 30% chance if you have the Latices to invest in her. So you kind of have a basic that has a CC, which is good, but is not as reliable. So you could kind of combine Kazuyo with Kraken to kind of have double CCs. I kind of tried it. It works sometimes, but I feel like if you're going to run this setup, you might as well run a healer with like a Tiamat, and that team will be very consistent, although very slow. So in that team would look like Kraken, Kazuyo, Tiamat, a healer, and then another DPS, and then that team will probably cook. It'll probably farm slower, but it'll farm effectively. So this is another character that a lot of people are still using on Hell 4 to farm Doki Doki effectively. Like I said in my previous video, farming Doki Doki Hell 4, or farming Doki Doki in general, is probably the most important thing you're going to be doing for the first month to get your speed as good as possible. So characters like Kazuyo, characters like Gary, characters like Kraken and Marvel are going to be your most important thing to get set up and going. We have one more 4-star character. This is Valyrian. She is going to have this S3, which is going to equalize everybody's HP. And then she's going to enter this Hazy Dream. If you have her maxed out, she's going to enter the battle in Hazy Dream. And what Hazy Dream is going to do is whenever the allies take turns, they're going to gain a buff from attack, defense, crit, or speed that they don't already have. So what you could do is like run like somebody that buffs attack and crit, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna get the ones that you don't have. So you can kind of control what buffs you get by buffing certain things. And then she also can give a certain ally invincibility and then also healing over time. So she's very, very good in keeping your team alive, and a lot of people use her to keep themselves alive in Terramaton early on. So I've actually seen her being used in a lot of the end game farming. Also a very good character to build if you don't have another healer. Oh, we actually missed one of the characters. So another character to build, which let me go and briefly talk about her. I don't personally like her because I didn't have Tiamat in this account. But if you are going to have Tiamat in your account, building a SR Sonia is actually very, very good. She synergizes extremely well with Tiamat. She gives you HP increase. She gives you a healing. She gives you passive healing. She gives you healing whenever she takes a turn. And she synergizes, like I said before, she synergizes really well with Tiamat. So if you don't have a healer in the first 7 days, because at the first 7 days, at the 7th day, we do get Ling Luo, which I do recommend people build when you do get her. But in the first 7 days, investing a little bit into your Zania, for your Tia is definitely a good idea. So this is another character that I would personally look into if you have a Tiamat, because personally, I don't have a Tiamat and I don't feel like I've ever needed a healer. I did build my Ling Luo a little bit, but I haven't really needed her. I really haven't used her. I've been really just playing control, and that has been like my approach so far, and I haven't really felt like I needed a healer pretty much at all. But if you have a Tia really benefits from having a healer, so Sonia would work extremely well, at least until you have your Ling Luo. And now last but not least, is not a 4-star, it's actually a 3-star. It's going to be number 41. Actually a very cracked out R character or rare character. The S3 has a 35% turn meter gain with an attack up for 2 turns. This is very, very good. 35% turn meter, if you are fast enough, could be the difference between your whole team going before the enemy and not going before the enemy. And aside from that, she does have a heal with a 3-turn healing over time with a heal. So she's a healer and a turn advancer with an attack up. So for a 2-star R character, she has a lot in her kit. So if you're missing an advancer, so let's say you miss out on Freya, you miss out on Chiaki the Echo, and you are needing an action advancer, this is a character that you're probably gonna pull a few copies of, So there are people that are using this character in Hell 4. I think we saw it earlier right here. Like there's a Hell 4 Doki Doki that uses number 41 still at 3-star, using number 41 to action and advance their team. And the whole team is essentially 3 stars and 4 stars with the exception of Ramolka. So please guys, this whole video is it's pretty much a cautionary tale to just do not hyper focus on 5 stars, even though they're shiny and they're good and they're good to have and they're pretty strong when you have them built up. You're not going to be able to build up all the 5 stars you get. So focus on the characters that you are going to be able to build up, which are going to be the 4 stars. The 4 stars you are going to be able to build up, and they are insanely strong, especially the ones that I mentioned in this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you excited for Etheria Restart launch on June 5th? Are you going to be playing this game with me? I'll be live over at twitch.tv/ISummerYT. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Until next time, guys. See ya.